You are the tip of the sword in Operation Alien Overlord, an attack on the homeworld of the Strogg, an evil cybernetic race hell-bent on the destruction of humanity. On the way in, your pod is struck by another, sending you careening alone into the Strogg capital city.
Command, I got a problem here. Some cowboy clipped me on the way in, and pressure's 50% and dropping.
This ends up saving your life as the rest of your invasion force is killed or worse.
Holy shit! Damn it! What the hell's going on? We just lost a third of the platoon.
Converted into more of the enemy Strogg, or even worse, left to wander around insane and tortured before they're ground up into people chunks. It's up to you to save Operation Alien Overlord and the human race. In this episode of Knee Deep in the Dead, we delve into id Software's 1997 shooter, Quake 2. After the release of Quake in 1996, id Software began development of their next game as set on a world dominated by a ruthless cybernetic race. Intended to be a new standalone series alongside Doom and Quake, it had difficulties coming up with an original name for it, so instead they just called it Quake 2, hoping the fame of the original would help. Quake 2 is truly a sequel in name only. The only similarities to the first Quake lies in the controls, few of the power-ups, the 2 shotguns, and the grenade and missile launcher. The setting, enemies, rest of the weapons, story, and the main character are completely new to the series. The game utilizes a new engine called id-Tech 2, a significantly upgraded version of the engine from Quake. It came with OpenGL graphics support immediately rather than later like the Quake engine, and included support for new colored lighting effects and larger, more impressive skyboxes. The story places you in the role of a lone marine named Bitterman who dropped in the wrong place, avoiding the fate of his fellows. He then fights through the Strogg hordes to accomplish the various missions assigned to him by his commander. These missions include destroying the Big Gun, the main planetary defense system for Stroggos, disabling the Stroggos interplanetary gateway, stopping any more Strogg invasions of Earth, and killing the supreme leader of the Strogg, the Macron. Your arsenal is somewhat less inspiring than previous offerings from id. Somewhat baffling, you have 2 shotguns and 2 machine guns. With both of these, the second one either fires faster or does more damage. Quake 2 also managed to somehow make an even more useless pistol than the one from Doom, being useful at only taking out the lowest and weakest of the guards, and useless against anything else. In addition to the aforementioned grenade launcher and missile launcher, you also get the Hyper Blaster, a rapid-firing energy cannon, the Railgun, a high-damage, low-rate-of-fire gun, and, surprisingly, the BFG 10,000. Like its predecessor, the legendary BFG 9000 from Doom, the BFG 10,000 is big, nasty, and powerful, but it eats up ammunition. The enemies you face range from the lowly light guard and the hard-hitting berserker to the missile-launching Iron Maidens, the annoying as hell parasites that drain your health, the large and stompy tank, and the railgun-toting gladiator. While still a terrific shooter, Quake 2 seems to suffer from a few issues in the gameplay. Enemy artificial intelligence hadn't really evolved much to this point, so they really don't do much more but charge you as soon as they see you, like enemies from id's past games, although the enemies can still beat the garbage out of each other. However, the enemy numbers didn't feel quite as varied as they did in the original Quake or Doom. There were very few instances where opening up with the super shotgun or chain gun didn't solve most of the problems I encountered. They also didn't really require much maneuvering outside of standard dodging. Level design as a whole wasn't really inspiring for most of the game, although the best levels were the ones that took you into the actual Strogg machinery and the processing facility where humans are literally ground up into fuel for the Strogg's war machine. The levels also have a few instances of nice scripting involving your escape from the exploding big gun, and evading an airstrike. One thing driving you from mission to mission are the mission notifications on your handheld computer. However, due to the lack of real flow in the missions, it felt like a shopping list more than I was taking on important tasks. For me, Quake 2, though technologically superior to its previous entries, has a less thrilling shooter element than its older brothers Quake and Doom. Its multiplayer, though, was extremely popular, remaining relevant long into the future. Its modes were standards for FPSes up to this point, such as Deathmatch and Team Deathmatch. For its time, Quake 2 was a huge hit and kept id Software on the top of the heap for the genre. The id Tech 2 engine would be used for several games into 2001 and beyond. But there was the rumble of war on the horizon, and the new combatant would bring something very unreal and new to the conflict, and we'll get into that in the next episode. Until then, my friends, as always, game on and take care.